the gunpowder trilogy.
No. Jesus.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. The Powder Mage trilogy.
The powder. Why doesn't it have gun in its
Powder.
name? Powder, but the gunpowder. Gun precedes powder, always.
Which sounds better, the Gunpowder Mage trilogy or the Powder Mage trilogy?
Powder Mage actually sounds a lot better.
Yes. Oh, I wonder what he named it. Welcome everyone to the Ramble podcast. I'm Richard.
I am Austin.
And today we're doing our pitch review of the Powder Mage trilogy by Brian McClellan.
And pitch reviews, for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, is Richard has read the book. I have not read the book, so he's going to be convincing me, if he likes the series, to read it.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
So let's get right into the author.
Let's do that.
The author, Brian McClellan, was actually born 1986, Cleveland, Ohio. He actually is an English major from Brigham Young University, where he actually that's where he met Brandon Sanderson.
Not just met, right? This is the one thing I know, so I got to put in my info here. He was a student of Brandon Sanderson.
Yep.
Right? So in college, of course.
Yeah, and it shows. I think I felt the similarities reading Powder Mage Trilogy to Brandon Sanderson. So,
prose-wise, or how is it similar to Sanderson?
Mostly prose-wise. I would say prose, and because that dialogue, that witty banter dialogue that Sanderson does so well. And there's also a particular character, which I felt had a similar coolness factor that Sanderson does so well. But yeah, his current works, this is his first book series. Well, actually, no. He has a smaller book series that he wrote before, but this is his first big published book series.
Okay.
And
it's a trilogy, right? These are all three of the books.
Yep.
The whole thing. And
so this is the trilogy. The Powder Mage trilogy.
Powder Mage trilogy.
There's a subsequent sequel trilogy called The Gods of Blood and Powder.
Okay.
So that's another trilogy. No, that's a sequel trilogy. I have not gone around to it because I didn't want to jump right back in because I wanted to like the... it's one of those things of you don't want to see the ending changed. Like, I liked the ending. I was like, I didn't want it to go further for a moment, but I will get to it.
Okay.
I've heard nothing but good things, that it's actually better than this trilogy. So,
but you can't attest because you've only read these three.
I can't attest.
And that means this video will be very focused. So you have no bias of what happens in the sequels. This is purely on the original trilogy.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Now, his next series, his most recent one, is the Glass Immortal series, which the first book is In the Shadow of Lightning, which he released this year in 2022. I have not read it yet, but it is on the docket for next book.
Okay. And that's going to be a series as well?
Yes.
Is that, okay. That's a
I'm
whole
not
separate
sure.
thing. Separate worlds?
Separate worlds, everything separate.
Got it.
But that's Brian McClellan. Yeah, and I'll go right into a series pitch, what the series is about. Spoiler free, of course. Now, so the series itself is a fantasy world based, not set, based on Revolutionary era France with magic users who can control gunpowder with their minds. And the story follows three main perspectives. General Tamas, a general who conducts a military coup to save his country. His son, Daniel Two-Shot, a powder mage marksman in the throes of emotional turmoil. And lastly, Adamat, who's a retired detective whose loyalty to the country is tested by blackmail. That is roughly what the series is about, without going too further into details.
Was his name Telly Two-Shot?
Daniel.
Daniel Two-Shot?
Daniel Two-Shot.
Daniel interests me. I want to know why his name's Two-Shot.
Because
don't spoil.
This is his name. This is nothing more than the first chapter.
Two-Shot can mean anything. It can mean so many things. Like
Daniel Two-Shot is named that because it never takes more than 2 shots to kill a target.
Oh, see, what I assumed was it took him 2 shots to kill anything. Where it was kind of a play on the genre of you typically have those westerns that, boom, one shot Jimmy, or I don't know, that's a random name I came up with. But that would have been cool if he was a character that always missed the first one, but never missed that second shot. Daniel's never missed a second one in his life.
No, so he's a marksman who uses the magic system to basically push flintlock rifles to an extent they never should be able to. So using extra powder magically to send the bullet further, or to direct the bullet while it's in mid-flight, and all these little things.
Okay.
So he's a marksman.
Okay, so series is about these characters, and what genre does it cover?
Oh, it is a right down the middle Flintlock Fantasy.
Okay.
Which is a subgenre fantasy that I have not been too engrossed in. I know a little bit of some others. So, for example, Lightbringer is a Flintlock fantasy because it takes place with basically guns, that kind of era of technology.
The revolutionary era tech.
Exactly. But mainly deals with magic and guns. But yeah, let's see here.
Would you say that's a similar book to this? So if you have read Lacanus,
they're very different books. Very, very different. I would say if you liked Brandon Sanderson's work, like Mistborn, you would really like Powder Mage Trilogy.
Okay.
So that's a big one. Also, if you like Dalinar Colon, you'll like a specific character in this series quite a bit.
I like Dalinar. I love Dalinar. Oh, he's the best.
Imagine Tamas, a old general powder mage who goes in and starts a coup in his country and kills the king to save his country because he thinks the country's going down the wrong path.
Damn.
By the way, that's not spoilers. That's literally like the first paragraph.
I assumed it wasn't because you wouldn't give away that much information.
No, I am not. That's like very beginning.
Back of the book.
Yeah.
Look at us. Look at us. We're on the same page. That's great.
But yeah, I would say a couple other books that are in similar vein that some I've read, some I haven't, but I know similar. So Mistborn Era 2 is similar. The Shadow Campaigns by Django Wexler. Of course, I said Lightbringer before. The Draconis Memoria series is also another Flintlock
Anthony
fantasy.
Ryan.
And I do quite like that series. It's my favorite of his works. And then there's Guns of Dawn, Adrian Tchaikovsky.
Okay.
Have not read that one, actually. But,
Sweet.
Yep.
Dude, that's like a lot of more books than I thought that you'd say were similar to this. Because to me, the Flintlock Fantasy era books are unique. This is the first, I think, other than Lacanus, which I didn't remember Lacanus being Flintlock. That wasn't.
It is not.
Oh,
Lacanus is not. Lightbringer.
Oh, sorry, Lightbringer. Lightbringer. I didn't even remember that being that tech because the thing that when I think of Lightbringer was not that. This seems to be the focus.
It's the focus of the setting.
Okay.
Some stories lean into it more than others.
Okay.
But I would say Mistborn Era 2 leans into it a lot, so that's the setting and style as Flintlock Fantasy.
I follow. Okay. Mm-hmm. So beyond that then, what did you rate the book? The book series, what did you rate it?
Overall, I rated the book series a 7.47 out of 10.
7.47. So just on that 7.5 cusp mark.
Oh, yeah. But hey, that's a great series.
Okay.
Sevens for me, if, just a reminder, 5 is like average. Not good, not bad. 6 is good. 7 is great. Seven's a great.
Okay.
7's a great score. 8, you're getting into amazing. 9 is superb, spectacular. 10 is perfection.
Okay.
That's kind of how I think about it if I'm supposed to verbalize the score.
So then for the Powder Mage trilogy, which one is the better of those? Which is the best in the series?
I personally think the first one is, with the quote-unquote worst one being the second. I think it has a little bit of middle book syndrome, but the third book picks up. It's better, but I don't think it captures the first book as much. But to be fair, I'm dealing in slight differences.
Slight differences, but you personally prefer the first book?
Yeah.
Okay. And then did these books at all win anything big? Do they have awards? Like I know in the past you've mentioned that some books have been top 100 fantasy. Yeah. And they've had all these accolades. Do these have accolades? Is this recognized?
It is recognized. It does have an award from an award publication that I don't know of, but I found it.
Okay.
The Morningstar Award for Best Fantasy Newcomer in 2014. As an example, some of the other things that this publication awarded, and I did this research just to see, like, do they know their stuff?
Yeah.
Like, what are they actually pushing? So in 2013, they actually nominated
Morningstar. This is
Morningstar Awards.
The Morningstar Awards. What else have they awarded?
Yeah, so the year previously, they did Malice, The Faithful and the Fallen by John Gwynne, which I have read. Good choice. The year after, 2015, The Emperor's Blades, which I own, have not read yet. It's on the list. Then 2016, Vagrant. 2017, Steal the Sky. And 2018, Kings of the Wild, which definitely agree. That's a standout, great newcomer fantasy.
So Morningstar, which I vaguely heard of, so
Yeah.
they're reliable. So,
Yeah.
Okay. we always got to give that other perspective because if it's just us pitching the book or you specifically, you got to have that non-biased source, the unbiased source out there. Okay.
Definitely.
All right. So beyond that, then, want to dive into some of the specifics about the book.
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it. So emotional investment in the series. What did you rate it as a whole and why?
All right. So emotional impact, I gave the series an 8.42. Very high score. And mainly because Daniel Two Shot, he brought the emotional. He got me. I was emotionally invested in him, and also Tamas. Tamas was just so exciting that it made so. Adamat, the third perspective, I think drags a little bit in the first book. And that's not due to him as a character. It's mostly due to the plot line that he's in. Is not as interesting as the other two. But it definitely picks up by the end. So that's only a temporary issue.
I had a feeling Daniel Two Shot was a solid character.
Such a great name.
It
what
is.
A wonderful name
Just
for it.
Brian McClellan, no offense, but you should have went with my idea. Like having the first shot always miss and the second shot. I think is there anything like that? Because I like that concept.
I'm trying to think.
The guy that never hits you the first time, but that second one.
The second one's always good.
He's dead shot, but on the second one. Come on. That's a cool concept.
Maybe it'd be, and the deeper character would be that he always tries to give him a chance. He does it deliberately.
Oh, okay.
He gives him the warning shot. He always gives a warning shot, and people say like, "Oh, why do you give a warning shot? You're giving up your opportunity." He goes, "Because I know I'll hit him in the second. I can afford to give him a warning shot."
Oh my goodness, that's such a. I like that. Let's go that direction then.
Yeah.
We're bouncing off each other here. See,
yeah.
if we. Okay, I'm sure the character.
If I actually wrote a book.
if we actually wrote a book. But if Brian McClellan wrote Daniel Two Shot a different way, I'm sure it's great. I've never read the series. This is just, I kind of created something in my mind now and you helped that.
Yeah.
I feel like I'll be disappointed now if I read it.
Yeah, I mean.
Like, would that be true? Is Daniel
No.
Two Shot a good character in the book?
He is a good character.
Okay,
you'll like him quite a bit.
Okay.
And especially the circumstance that happened to him, you really empathize with him.
Got it.
And so he brings a lot of the emotional weight to the story. But the action is also incredibly exciting. So a lot of times you get with fantasy and magic, magic does not have like that immediate cost. Like a bolt of lightning would be, it cause damage to an area, but people survive it. People have magical armor, and all this stuff makes stakes very difficult. With Flintlock Fantasy, it's guns. So the guns can either be not very effective, where people have magical skin or armor, whatever, and bullets don't do much, or they're bullets. They kill you. Like it only takes one shot. That's all it is. So you run the risk of making your characters too strong. This series balances that very well. Has very justified reasons why some people bullets don't work, but for the most part, yeah, bullets are deadly. Almost every single encounter, people die. Like it's not the person was wounded from an action scene. Like if you're dealing with swords, sword combat, often it doesn't always have to lead to their death.
Yeah.
Like wound them, they get cut on the arm, they bled out, whatever.
You answered the question I should have asked because I really am more antagonistic against gun fantasies or just an action movie with guns. You'll go to watch and have fun and whatnot. You can always like John Wick, of course, and other movies. But I'll always have that thing in the back of my mind where it's like, come on, you gotta shoot the person, and it's a gun, and it makes that's why swords are in fantasy so often because swords are so easy you can fight and still leave unscathed, and it's kind of believable. Yeah. Whereas a gun, how do you escape that? So you're saying it mends that and makes it really believable, and actually there are stakes.
Exactly. There are actually stakes for the fighting and the times where The bullets aren't very effective. It's very well explained.
I love that.
So really well done with the magic system.
Great. Which can you commend Dune for that as well? Dune, not the action in it, but the way that they explain how there's still swords and why people don't use laser beams.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I like it for the world building itself, but I prefer that aspect mainly because of the thematic parts of Dune. I think I was talking with you about it before on how Dune is such a contradictory world, the whole setting, where it's this far advanced civilization, but the interplanetary government system is feudalism. They have all these spaceships and warp drive and all, but it has to be run by people like snorting magical version of cocaine just to function. Then there's they have laser guns, but they can't actually use laser guns or else everyone dies, so they use swords. Mm-hmm. They have shields, but doesn't work. You have to go slow to even break it. All of these different factors make it very odd that yes, we progressed so far, but they basically reverted back to old historical forms of governance and technology.
And that contradiction makes it unique.
Oh yeah, it's very fun.
So while we're at it, what's your rating of Dune? And let's start going.
Oh God! We just go off a tangent.
We should just title a video one time: "Rating of blah blah blah," and just rate 3 different books. Let's do that again. We'll have Lacanis rating, and we'll just dive into the Lord of the Rings the whole time. So okay, that was your emotional investment.
Yeah.
For the Gunpowder Trilogy. Do I get that right? Am I screwing it up?
The Powder Mage Trilogy.
I knew I was going to screw it up eventually. Powder Mage. It's like Powder Mage, Gun, Flint. Okay. Powder Mage Trilogy.
Yeah.
What did you think about characters? I know we dove into Taniel, the two-shot.
Yeah.
But
that's mostly on the...
Would you rate characters?
I gave characters an 8.08 for characters.
These are 2 really strong ratings in a row.
Very strong.
Okay.
Mainly, they all say very strong because of the relationship between Tamis and Taniel.
Okay.
And very strong characters, I think. Adamat gets much better by the second book, because I think he's a weaker character in the third, but mostly due to his plotline, not him as a character.
So you're telling me he survives? How dare you? You said this was spoiler-free.
Oh no, Gandalf lives.
I can't believe you. I can't believe you.
But so to maybe give some details on the characters, kind of what their purpose is in the story.
Yeah.
Tamis is the main driver of the plot, and he's the driver of the global plot. Like he's moving things in the whole world, the country. He's moving big pieces. Mainly similar of Dalinar. He's a military man thrown back into the game, and he wants to play the game a little differently this time. And so
Dalinar from the Stormlight Archives, for people who don't know. Yeah.
So it's very reminiscent, I think. Very different characters. Okay. But then Taniel.
Taniel Two-Shot. Say his name.
Taniel Two-Shot.
Damn right.
He brings the action of the story. Tamis has his own, but Taniel, that's where most of your action for the whole series is going to be. You get a lot of the exploration of the magic system and different magical people and all this stuff. So he's the action-heavy guy.
Wait, keep going. This is my favorite character. Come on, give me more. You don't just brush over my guy Two-Shot.
Well, he's also the most sympathetic character to root for. You definitely empathize with him the most.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I really enjoyed him. Then Adamat himself, he's the detective, and you don't appreciate him at first, but then more thinking about it, he was slower, but by the end he became interesting because he explored the subcultures of the world. And he was almost like the B plot that connects everything together. And all these little tangential things that just make the world feel lived in and real. So that's what he really serves. So it's like, you have the main driver, Tamis, you have the action, Taniel Two-Shot, and then you have, on the fringes, just filling out the rest of the world, you have Adamat.
Nice.
So those are the characters, and I think they were really well done.
And side characters overall?
Bunch of side characters, a couple that were really good. There's one in particular that got me emotionally troubled. I very much disliked the character because of what the character did to my boy, Taniel two-shot. And in reflection, if this character had their own POV, I'd probably sympathize with them too, to a degree. Like, this character's actually a main character in the following series. One of the reasons I did not start reading it immediately, I'm like, I don't want that character as a main character. No. That character was mean to Taniel two-shot. No, I don't like it.
It's kind of weird that, what's weird is just when you listed the 3 characters, didn't plan this, but Taniel two-shot just stuck out to me. And he's your favorite favorite character?
No, Tamis.
Oh, what? Okay, you're just being nice to me then by praising.
I can't say, like,
so you're just being nice by praising Taniel two-shot because I like him. I haven't met him, but I love him.
They're both, like, of the 3, they're both my favorites.
Okay, so Tamis is your favorite.
I can't say too much about Tamis without spoiling stuff. I can say things about Taniel because it's action related.
Okay.
And I'm staying far away from spoilers.
Got it.
I guarantee you'll love Tamis the most.
Because of the Dalinar resemblance.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. I'm going to try to like him more. If I, you know what?
You'll like him by first chapter.
I will.
Oh, first chapter, you're going to fall in love with him.
Okay.
Just saying.
So it's one of those books, the first chapter it hooks you right away.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It is fast.
Then, speaking of plot-wise, what did you rate plot?
Plot, I gave a 7. 7 on the nose.
So good plot.
A good plot.
Good plot overall. Okay. And
overall, above average. Good.
So why good and not great? Also, why good? So what's good about it? Then why good and not great?
Yeah, sure. Some of the best parts is the pacing.
Pacing, okay.
Pacing is really quick. It was a page turner. As an example, I was actually started listening to the book on audiobook for when I was in the car driving. And I was thinking I was just going to leave it to drive. I was going to read a different book while I'm at work and listen to this book in the car.
Yeah.
After I first listened to it in the car after the first day, I drove home to Barnes & Noble's to pick up the physical book so I could read it at work as well. So I would listen to it in the car, get to work, read the physical book at work, and then I get in the car, go home, and I listen to the audiobook. I tore through it because the pacing is just quick. Just
loved
great.
It that much.
Oh, yeah. The plot is just exciting.
High praise. Okay, so that's why it gets a 7. Just really fast, the good pace. Because fast pace doesn't mean good.
Right? Yeah, fast and well-paced.
Well-paced. Fast and well-paced.
Yeah.
Great. So then why not 8? Why not higher? What keeps you from boosting it more?
The ending, certainly.
Ending of the series?
Ending of the series is a slight dip for me. Because for me, like, an ending to really take it out of the park is something that I really wouldn't expect too much. Like, something kind of gives me that wow factor. That's what it takes to really go up to, like, the 8s or 9s of an ending. You have to wow me. And I enjoyed it, but I wasn't wowed. That's kind of where I'm at. But also, first book, Adamant was not as interesting. There's some aspects in each of them where those were the parts that dipped for me. Overall, the complexity of it was fairly simple, which is good, but it doesn't push that level that would make me give it the 8.
Okay. But so nothing standoutish other than the pace being very, very well constructed.
Yeah.
So that's why it doesn't boost higher. Okay.
Exactly.
I follow that.
But yeah, so, and I did actually add on to that. I think what really made it much better, like better than a 6 to push it to 7, is I later appreciate Adamat's B plot on how each plot wove together very well, and not just plot wise, like they all meet and connect to each other. They fill different roles to describe the world, and all that is really well done.
Now, notice what you did just there. You gave something a 7 and gave a lot of praise and just said, here's why it's not higher, and you were very kind.
Yeah.
But when you rated Stormlight Archive, one of the categories, Worldbuilding, an 8, do you remember that? You remember that video?
Yeah.
Say sorry. Apologize. Not to me, to Brian McClellan and Sanderson.
No, I think Sanderson would understand. I gave him a high score, and it's such a high score, and you were praising it so much. I wanted to show the nitpicks, nitpicks of it that I have with it.
It still sticks with me to this day. So it's okay. So that was plot for. Yeah. Wait, I'm going to say this right. The Gunpowder Trilogy.
No. Jesus.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. The Powder Mage Trilogy.
The powder. Why doesn't it have gun in
Powder.
its name? Powder, but the gunpowder. Gun precedes powder, always.
Which sounds better, the Gunpowder Mage Trilogy or the Powder Mage Trilogy?
Powder Mage actually sounds a lot better.
Yes. Oh, I wonder what he named it.
I can't think. Okay, so the Powder Mage Trilogy. Yeah. What did you rate the dialogue/prose?
I gave it a strong 6.75.
You can't say that. You can't say strong and then 6 something.
It's a firm 6.75.
Okay, it's a firm, like, it's not changing. It's a 6.75, and you're certain.
I rated a 6.75 across all 3 books. They were all
6.75.
6.75.
Boom.
Doesn't break.
You know what?
7.
You know what a 6.75 deserves? Let's move to the next category. All right, world building. What did you rate the world building and category for this trilogy?
The only thing I want to say 2 things.
Oh, it would have been funnier if we just brushed over it. Why'd you? No, you real. Okay, now we'll talk about dialogue. Okay.
The dialogue is very. I mean, I got strong Sanderson vibes while reading it, and so.
As he was a student of Sanderson.
Yes.
Yep.
And also, it's very modern writing. It's like hard modern fantasy, so it doesn't go into the excessive description that typical classic fantasy offers. So if you're normally not a fan of classic fantasy like Lord of the Rings or the book I'm thinking of, Tad Williams, The Dragonbone Chair, is really kind of classic fantasy-esque. And you like that more modern stuff, Brandon Sanderson, then Powder Mage Trilogy is really up that alley.
Which is probably what keeps the pace just so fluid that it's easy to read. You can go chapter to chapter, bang, bang, bang.
Exactly.
Cool. All right, world building / magic system. What did you rate that out of 10?
Overall,
for the Powder Mage Trilogy.
You got it right for the first time.
Yeah, I think I got it right the first time I said it, then wrong the second and third, and now I'm looping back. Okay, for the Powder Mage Trilogy, what did you rate world building magic?
A 7.08.
7.08. Okay,
yeah.
Why 7.08?
It's very good, but it just didn't break. I just couldn't rate it any higher when I was comparing it to other series. So it is a really cool, interesting magic system. So the magic system is really inventive and fun, and I enjoy that. More especially one half of the magic system. The other half, you get less of a understanding about it.
Okay.
What may have pushed it further into like the exceptional magic systems would be kind of a connection to maybe a thematic connection to the story, or I personally always think the best is the hard magic system with a very strong, really strong soft magic backing. That adds it just adds a bit of mystery to it.
Yeah.
There's not much mystery to the magic system.
It's very straightforward.
Very straightforward. World building itself, you get a lot about one country, but not a lot about the rest of the world. World map is not as detailed. Like, I'm not reading over the world map, and I don't think you really need to look at the map, which would add to it. History of the world is good for recent history, but doesn't go too far into the depths of the history and how this world even started.
Okay.
So I can list some positives and negatives. Overall, I do say I think it's above average.
You're satisfied.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, but I can't give it that 8.
Okay. Very fair. Very fair. In total, then, Powder Mage Trilogy. I'm nailing it now. The Powder Mage Trilogy. I can't go back. It's over. I got this. So Powder Mage Trilogy is a 7. Did I remember your rating correctly? 7.48. Did you give it?
No, 7.08 for world building.
No. For total, 7.48 was it?
7.47.
7.47. 0.01 off. Okay, so 7.47 out of 10 for the series as a whole. Thumbs up. Where's it getting for you?
Solid 1.5 thumbs up.
Great. And I hope there's people out there that just skip the whole review and look for the Richard Thumb review. There's got to be someone out there that's like, all right, let's just see what he thumbed it up, and then I'll read it or not. So for those of you who do that, it's 1.5 thumbs up.
Yeah, there we go.
Awesome. Anything else that I cut you off on anything? Do you want to touch up on the series, or are you satisfied with that review?
I don't have anything else. Do you have any questions for me about it?
Absolutely not. This has been Tutor Ramble, everybody. We will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.